Hey, welcome to Film Fanatics. My name is Dan.
My name is Justin.
And I'm Joe.
To our regular listeners here, we're going to switch up things on the show here in order to make the show a little bit more listener-friendly and concise. Obviously, some of our shows spread the length out a little bit. So we've trimmed the portions out that maybe were a bit excessive in an effort to reduce the show time by half. Our goal is going to be about a half hour a week. We're going to pick 3 or so movies every week that we think you might be interested in. There's not going to be any more old films on the weekly show. The Oscar A to Z gone completely. We had a good run with that. Got through many old movies.
Yeah. It was fun.
It was, but in an effort to focus on the new, we have dropped that. And old classics are still going to sort of exist, but each month will now have a theme, and we're each going to bring one film that fits into that theme, and then there will still be that one monthly slot for listener's choice. And much like how we just did Guilty Pleasure Month and Christmas Month before that, every month is going to have its own theme, and then we'll put that into a mini-sode at the end of the month. So instead of coming at the end of the weekly show, you'll have them for your monthly mini-sodes, and we'll do that with some top 5s as well. We'll still have those. So if you just want to hear the new stuff, you can listen to our weekly show. Old stuff or top 5 related stuff, you can check out our other things. And of course, we've been posting the Star Trek reviews of the episodes on our channel as well. So a lot of stuff going up, and hopefully you guys enjoy the changes. So this week we have 4 new movies for you. That's Dirty Grandpa, 13 Hours, The Fifth Wave, and The Boy. And we're going to kick it off with Dirty Grandpa. In this film, just before his wedding, uptight lawyer Jason Kelly, played by Zac Efron, gets tricked by his horny grandfather, Dick, played by Robert De Niro, into driving him down to Florida for spring break. Longtime Sacha Baron Cohen collaborator Dan Mazer directs, and Aubrey Plaza, Julianne Hough, and Adam Pally have supporting roles. Now, one of the other new changes we're going to do on the show is, instead of just one person giving their review and the grade, we're sort of going to do kind of more of a discussion segment, and then at the end we'll all sort of give our grades. So we'll start that with this. I don't know about you guys, but I did not laugh one time at anything that the 2 leads did in this movie. I did have a few laughs, but I got them from the side characters. I got them from Aubrey Plaza. Adam Pally at the wedding at the end was kind of funny. The guy that ran the surf shop had a couple of good lines, but not one thing for me hit for Efron or De Niro. The movie's super homophobic. I mean, I can take a joke as a gay person. I don't, that's homophobic. But this was like super homophobic. Between, Zac Efron's gay bits, Zac Efron's a lesbian bits, all that kind of stuff. The script feels like it was written by a committee of 5th grade boys. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of fart jokes. There's a lot of I'm going to tap Zac Efron's nuts. That didn't get old. So that's my take on Dirty Grandpa. I mean, what do you guys have to say about any and all of those things?
Justin, can you add to that?
Well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, Dan. This is a movie that basically has something to offend just about anyone. Disabilities.
Don't forget the
elderly.
elderly.
Just basically anyone with decent taste. It's a complete nightmare to watch. I don't think I've watched a movie where I've slouched further in my seat more. It automatically lost points for casting Julianne Hough and Zoe Deutsch. So
yeah, I didn't know about your Zoe Deutsch, but I know you hate Julianne Hough. Everything she's in.
Well, I mean, Vampire Academy.
I'd say like C+ at best. Vampire Academy sucked. It's true. I don't necessarily dislike her as an actress, though. I mean, she's okay.
Well,
I don't have anything against her, I guess.
She certainly doesn't have the track record of Julianne Hough yet. But
no.
Give it time.
Yeah, well, it didn't really work too well for me either. I mean, you said it so well, Dan. This is not going to be the biggest thing I can add to. But, I mean, this movie I think, was meant to offend everybody. Mm-hmm. It really was. Like, nobody's safe here. And for me, it just wasn't funny at all. And I think the worst thing about it was De Niro's character is so unlikable. He's so unlikable. And
I didn't point out in my synopsis that his wife had just died.
And he just celebrates it by
basically
going off and
deciding to go on this whole escapade.
I'm just like, well, that just doesn't make him likable or anybody to get behind. And of course, Efron's character is just like,
I didn't even think Efron's character is that likable.
He's just
he's lying to his wife constantly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He doesn't even tell her that he's with his grandfather. Mm-hmm. So right away, the whole trip is a lie.
Yeah.
Then he's half cheating on her with the Zoe Deutsch character.
You're right. I mean, even in that sense, he's not that likable. He's, I guess, more likable than De Niro's character, but
for sure.
More by default, though. He's
Yeah.
not a character you want to root behind. And you're right. The jokes were just so juvenile. You know,
Yeah.
and they were
Glover had a good joke.
He did.
Danny Glover has a one scene part in this movie.
There are a few little things that were kind of funny, but most of it I don't think redeemed the movie overall for me. Because most of the experience I was just like, wow, this is just mean. It's insulting. And a lot of it was unfunny.
Ugly.
It was very ugly. It's unpleasant.
It's just one thing that I think Hollywood does not seem to understand, and they keep shucking out the same format over and over and over again. Just because you can have actors say these filthy, disgusting, obnoxious lines disguised as jokes doesn't mean they're actually funny. They're just obnoxious and irritating.
Well, then again, some of the people that I saw the movie with did laugh, though, when some of these expletives were
My
uttered.
theater was pretty silent.
I mean, there were a couple
There was
people...
one woman that had a lot of
Whoa.
Like she didn't know whether it was supposed to be funny or if she was supposed to be offended.
I'm just hearing
She's older, but
not sure what
My
to think
theater
about
was
that.
it was me and these two other people who were cackling the entire time.
I mean, I guess it's the most basic form of gross comedy you can go for, but it's not really that...
But it has to be well written. I think that's the point Justin's, hitting
More or
home.
less, yeah.
I mean, I agree with you. I think that you can still be that way, and there can be some subtext, or there should be good character stuff that kind of ties into it, makes it more relatable. A lot of these situations, it's just, like you said, putting these actors in there, making them say these lines, and it's just kind of like throwing it in there, hoping for a response. It's not automatically funny.
No. And the whole Aubrey Plaza thing, like... That last scene
That bothered me.
where they're having sex. I mean, Aubrey Plaza is I don't know, early 30s for sure. At
Yep.
most, maybe late 20s. And De Niro's in his 70s, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's like this really weird sex scene where they're, oh, tell me how you dropped a Werther's original.
Well, that's like the big controversial scene. I guess that people are waiting for, and I can see. It's an example of, all right, maybe some people might be into certain things, but it's not really accessible enough that most audiences are going to enjoy it.
No.
Personally, I just kept thinking, wow, that's you might be into that, but that's pretty insulting to old people and pretty much anybody. It was just.
I think it's insulting to De Niro's
Character
legacy. Like,
legacy.
why
Why
is he
is he in
taking this? Like, he was just in Joy, which I know sort of separated us a little bit, but I think we can all agree it's a better movie than this.
Definitely.
He's been in the last, 3 David O. Russell movies. He's been in The Family, which I didn't love, but it was all right.
But was it better than Little Fockers?
The Family was about the same as Little. They were both very average. I didn't hate Little Fockers. I thought it was okay.
Okay, fair enough.
But he did a movie called What Happens Next or something.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I did
And
hear
that
about
was god awful. It's like Pacino almost.
Almost.
We talked about that when he was in the that movie a few weeks ago. But
Manglehorn,
yeah.
Oh.
Well, you're going to hit some choices, and they're not always going to be gold. I guess maybe some of these actors feel like they've had such a legacy they can afford one, but you'd think De Niro would look at this and be like, this is just not something you typically go for. I mean, even the infamous Showtime, which is a bad movie, at least he's still kind of going with the cop angle.
Yeah.
There's some action. Like, it seems more aligned with his typical style,
Now it just seems like he's just trying to pick projects for the sake of keeping busy.
I guess.
And
He's got to be getting better scripts than this, though. If he wants to pick a project to keep busy, I guarantee that guy gets 30 scripts a week.
Is it possible?
probably so does Dustin Hoffman. Doesn't mean he always picks them right at the gate, though.
Is it possible?
No, but Hoffman doesn't pick this garbage. My point is, pick a good script. If you're getting 30 scripts, they all can't possibly be this bad.
I want to throw a bone. Maybe it's possible De Niro thought, hey, I don't typically do anything this raunchy. Maybe I'll try as an experiment to see what I can add to it.
Maybe it'll be something bold.
Maybe, because he never really did anything
maybe.
like this before. Maybe. But it's...
Failed experiment.
I remember some previews I saw it with some people, and their reaction to it, when they saw De Niro was attached, they're like, wow, it looks like a horrible movie. Why is he in that? Right from the trailer, I heard people saying that.
Yeah.
That's not the reaction
Not a good sign.
you want to have.
No.
All
right, well, I did get a few laughs out of this, like I said, from the side characters, so I give it a D. Justin?
This is another F.
I'm with Justin on this one. Big F.
Wow, this is not the year for movies so far.
Not yet.
It's a pretty rocky start.
Already 3 Fs for Justin. All right, well, up next is 13 Hours. Justin?
John Krasinski plays Jack Silva, a newly appointed member of the security team tasked with guarding a U.S. embassy in Libya that doubles as a CIA compound. Though as the local militants discover this news, a vicious attack unfolds and Silva's team must battle over the course of, as the title suggests, 13 hours before reinforcements arrive. Things I've come to expect from Michael Bay. Conservative commentary, frenetic action sequences, and many, many explosions. Suffice to say, listeners, you get all three here. Out of Bay's 3 attempts to tell a true story, Pearl Harbor, with the exception of Cuba Gooding Jr., kind of disastrous. Pain and Gain, not quite as bad, but I wouldn't call it good. This one's by far the most watchable, but by Bay standards, it's still fairly by the numbers. I found it really repetitive at times, and I just kind of felt it was like dragging a lot in the middle because of that repetition. Okay, there's a firefight. They somehow managed to get through it. There's another firefight. Somehow they managed to get through it. We have moment of random side character drama that really doesn't go anywhere. Another firefight. Continue the process for about 2.5 hours until we get to very preachy conclusion. It's not a bad film, it's just a really average one for me.
Yeah, I mean, one of my big problems with it was it's just too long. I mean, it's called 13 hours, but they don't get to that 13-hour part till at least like 45 minutes or 50 minutes in, because you have to do the build-up, and then they go to have the ambassador come in, and that goes horribly wrong. And it's like, by the time they get to the 13 hours, I would say like more than a third of the movie is about over. The explosions and stuff. I had a hard time telling if that was Michael Bay's over-exploding things, or, I mean, it's Benghazi. Like, Benghazi's a hard place. It's not like Pain and Gain where they're blowing up trucks and it's like, all right, well, that seems out of place.
I'm actually
Michael Bay.
I'm actually glad you brought that up, Dan, because before I saw his 4th Transformers movie, I was talking to one of my coworkers, and one of them made the very interesting statement of, it's too Michael Bay for a Michael Bay movie. It's over-exploding, and I was looking at him like, huh? And then I sat down and watched it, and then I thought, it is super explosion heavy in a way that's like overkill and ridiculous. This one, in comparison, I think it's actually okay given the context.
Well, yes, it's a war movie. Like, you're gonna have explosions. Are do we have to blow up everything in Transformers? Probably not. The Rock? No. Probably not. There's some gunfire, but like...
There's RPGs going off in this.
This sort of... I mean, Joe, you're the big war movie person, I think, on the show.
Well,
how did the explosions do for you?
Well, this is actually one of the situations where I think Bay's kind of okay when he's not destroying franchises, which is generally how I feel. It's true. I mean, this is actually a situation where it's appropriate to have things explode and for him to showcase his skill at pyrotechnics, which is the thing he's best at. Everyone knows this. In terms of everything else, though, I mean, the story on a basic level is fine. I mean, the characters are okay. You've got, the office guy.
Yeah.
He's likable. You have the flashbacks of his family. Want to see him get out okay. And we know the rule about that with war movies, Justin.
Which does not get followed here.
No, it does not.
But he's the main character, so.
But protagonist rule, maybe. But, it's already doing that standard war movie stuff. Of course, I guess it's trying to be as politically correct as it can be. And the funny thing about it is, as racist as Michael Bay often is with the stereotypes in this movie, and in many of his movies, this one was pretty restrained.
I would say that.
Even considering the subject matter, I'm like, wow, you aren't painting all these people as just terrorists. You actually show some dynamics with them. Mm-hmm. Points, Michael Bay. Points. So...
Teeny tiny points.
Teeny points. I mean, it doesn't undo all the Transformers movies, but I really do feel like Michael Bay's situated away from the big sci-fi blockbusters. I don't know. I think when he tries to ground himself a little bit, he's better. Now, the thing that bothered me the most, which you guys did not mention, was actually the shaky cam. Some of the shaky cam was really irritating.
Some of it was rough.
Some of it was... That was the worst part. I liked some of the action, but there was just so much of that constantly with the editing.
Yeah.
With some of those scenes were kind of hard to follow. And, of course, it is way too long. And that's where I think the repetitive stuff comes from, Justin. It's just like... I was thinking if you cut this down to like 2 hours, maybe a little under 2 hours, it might have been fine, but it's just...
Yeah. I think it would have been more effective.
Did we need to like get a breakdown of every single hour on the hour?
It was trying to be a little more close to real time, a little more realistic, I guess, but maybe that hurt it. I don't know. But so
I just think when you don't get there for so long, what's the point of even counting down at that point?
I mean,
more or less, yeah.
Trying to establish tension, I guess.
Well, then call it 13 hours plus, or
13
hours bonus.
You got to establish your characters. you got to introduce them.
I guess.
Do we need like a 40-minute litany about all the characters we're going to be following and watch get bombarded for the next hour and 40 minutes?
I thought
I'm not so sure. But
no, I thought the main two were okay. I think the biggest thing, I mean, obviously you have a lot of the staples of like glorifying the military America. Mm-hmm. The only real like stereotyping was actually the CIA. You meatheads don't matter.
Yeah, that's
we're the
true.
CIA. We know everything. That was a little iffy. So it was kind of imbalanced, but it's better than a lot of Michael Bay stuff I've seen.
Well, as the big Office fan here, I was really like worried about how John Krasinski was going to do with this. Mm-hmm. I don't think he picks good movies anyway. Uh-huh. He's usually in pretty bad ones, to be honest. And I actually thought he did a pretty good job here for who he is. I mean, it's not like... I know you guys make fun of American Sniper, but Bradley Cooper in American Sniper, that's a Class A actor here in a war picture.
Wait.
Right.
Did you like him in Aloha? Silent Soldier?
No. I didn't like him in Aloha. Bradley Cooper was also there, of course. But one of my issues with this was if you're going to try and distance yourself from your, office role or your comedy chops, how about you don't put another one of your office buddies in the movie as your fellow soldier? That took me right out. And for big Office listeners, the first few seasons, Pam's boyfriend or fiance was Roy, and Roy is in this, and they hated each other on The Office, and now they're buddies.
But I thought he looked familiar.
People in the business have to help each other out. Hey, Michael Bay's doing a movie. Want
I
to
know.
come along?
I guarantee that's what happened, and that's fine. But if you're trying to establish yourself... well, and that guy who played Roy on The Office was also in Zero Dark 30, so he already did a dramatic war thing of his own.
You can stop doing that. We promise.
That kind of took me out of it.
Right.
I give 13 hours right down the middle of C. Justin?
Likewise.
I'm a C+.
A little over for Jeff.
What put it above for you?
It flowed more coherently story-wise. I liked some of the characters. I thought the action was appropriate and good. And I was really impressed by how Michael Bay wasn't incredibly racist for once. He was actually kind of fair. And it was like, it fit.
Fair by Bay standards.
By Bay standards. I was like, this kind of got me on the path to saying, somewhere in there's a good Michael Bay, but he just needs to stop.
Rock Bay might come back someday.
If he just did Rock sequels, that'd be fine. Pull like, I guess, Nicolas Cage with who now? Who would be the equivalent? Sean Connery's probably a little too old. Maybe, no. He'd have
Neeson, I guess.
He'd have to break him out of prison.
Yeah. All right, well, up next, Joe's going to tell us about the fifth wave.
That's right. It's based on this YA book, and there are 4 waves that have occurred. I guess we're in between the 4th and 5th waves of this deadly alien invasion. Which we'll get to later when I talk about it. And it's the main character is Cassie, played by Chloe Grace-Moretz, and she's on the run, desperately trying to save her younger brother, who she lost in this terrible scene. And she also has to contend with the final wave involving aliens inhabiting people's bodies, which we've seen a lot, and that's basically the movie. Some problems I have with the movie. First of all, a lot of it is overdone by this horrible narration that Chloe gives, where she just does not care at all about the event. She's saying, there was another wave. Things are so terrible.
YA voiceover.
But it's like the blandest of YA voiceovers, like just no investing at all in the story. Now, on screen, she's a little better in terms of her acting, which she usually is. So I can give her that. That does not improve the dumb decisions this character makes, because like early in the movie, like the movie wouldn't really occur, her trying to find her brother, had she not gone back for his bear. After her father expressly tells her, you get on the bus. Okay, you go off, you're going to be safe. And, oh no, but it's like, you got to get my bear. And this girl just runs off. And then she's like, oh, duh. They left. Wow. You literally betrayed your father's trust 2 minutes after this. This is establishing the character very on. And a lot of other dumb decisions here. There's a romance, which is forced. Why? Well, how do they have time for this in this situation? And then that comes to the waves themselves, which, as she was giving the initial narration, I'm laughing immediately because, okay, so after the first wave, we're done. Like, we're dead. No, there's a second wave. weren't we dead by like the third? I'm just like, it's just, they're so ridiculously handled and how over the top it is. It's just, even for something like this, it's just not believable. The characters aren't believable. It's there were some dramatic moments I thought kind of worked. Some of the stuff with the younger brother was okay. I liked Office Space guy. What was
Ron Livingston.
Ron Livingston was her dad. He was actually decent. They had some good scenes together. I want to hear what you guys have to say.
Well, first of all, the love triangle is awful.
Horrendous.
And the triangle is even like...
That's generous.
In the most air quotes I can give, because she's kind of with the guy that finds her, but then like she ends up running into the guy she liked from high school, who like, I guess they never even talked before, but he was like, oh yeah, I know your brother, he's in the army with me now, let's go find him together. And then I don't want to give spoilers, but like then...
It's hard not to.
One of the characters exits the movie completely, and we don't even know if they're alive. We don't know what happened.
If they're coming back.
I mean, I guess I know it's a book series, so they were hoping for a sequel. I don't know if that's going to happen with the results, but I think the worst part of the movie, though, Joe,
okay,
that I don't think you hit home enough, was that this is an amalgamation of every single YA thing that we've got in the last like 3-4 years. It's got parts of The Giver and Divergent and obviously Hunger Games and The Host and Maze Runner even a little bit, you know, and it's like, so that was annoying. All the themes even were just
pretty generic,
really, really tread upon before.
You're right.
And the twist about who's behind everything is super obvious from said character's first scene.
Yeah.
The second they walk onto the set, you're like, oh,
that's what that is.
Yeah, I wonder where this is going
to figure out. I kind of did like the build up of the waves. I liked how they climbed into the tree. That was good.
We live by the lake in Ohio. We're fine, but the ocean. Oh man.
Yeah, the oceans were screwed.
Just like, you know,
New York,
that's not
Florida. I mean, Justin, what do you think?
Kinder words, maybe. Kinder.
Well, I mean, for being such a young actress, Moretz has had quite the career. I mean, Hit Girl, Hugo's BFF, already having a YA adaptation with If I Stay, which was equally mediocre, but
equally.
Oh, that was better than this for
well,
sure.
Certainly mediocre, but maybe not equally.
Goodness.
But I guess it was only inevitable that by virtue of being young, talented actress, getting some sort of YA Katniss Everdeen-like action protagonist. But it falls into so many of the stereotypical YA pitfalls, bad dialogue, stereotypical lifeless voiceover.
But hey, this one has some of the dumbest characters, though.
Many dumb decisions.
Yep.
With the twist being glaringly obvious. To play devil's advocate briefly about that, though, I feel like for the target audience, which I feel like is tweens to like early teens, would find it surprising. To everyone else, though, it's going to be glaringly obvious. It's basically 28 Days Later light.
Yeah, but the same target audience goes and watches The Maze Runner, and it's the same twist. Spoilers if you've seen Maze Runner already. I just ruined the fifth wave for you, but I mean,
you're not missing anything.
The same audience is seeing all of these movies, so even to them, it's going to be super obvious.
You'd hope.
But here's where I got torn on this one. We do have the Moretz storyline, but then it sort of breaks off into the second storyline, and I found that storyline far more interesting than Moretz's. So
yeah, a little more.
I will say there was a time, I think it was when Moretz and Dude woke up the next morning. I did turn to my friend and I said, "Oh, is she still in this?" Because the 20 minutes prior was about the base camp, which is, by the way, another one. They got a Jenna Malone type from Mockingjay to play the girl in this.
That is totally fair.
It's like, come on.
We needed the borderline psychopathic tomboy. But it's certainly not good. But it's...
No, it's not good. I think Moretz is having, honestly, a hard time...
figuring out what to do?
Adjusting into these more adult roles. Clouds of Sils Maria didn't do it for me quite as much as some. Well, some of her other things recently...
I don't know, guys. I think that, honestly, her earlier stuff was more adult than what she's doing now, ironically.
You're right. Maybe that's why she's having trouble adjusting.
Hugo was
because
a very
now
big
she's,
one.
You know...
I mean, Hugo was technically a family film, but it was...
Technically, but it's pretty heavy, interesting, complicated stuff there. And for her to be involved with that, it's not your standard kids' fare.
No, and neither was Kick-Ass. And
yeah.
Dark Shadows, she was the sexed up, daughter at, I don't know how old she was when she made it, 15 maybe?
Probably.
Yeah.
So maybe that is the trouble transitioning. I don't know.
Yeah, just she's made some questionable choices.
Like what they want to try and do with her, because she has talent. It's just I feel like they're trying to find some way to like let her still take these very mature projects, but also still let her have like these teen friendly things as well, which is sort of having her go all over the place.
Well, I think she'll figure it out.
I'm sure.
I hope, because I agree, she's a good actress, but I don't know. I leave Fifth Wave with a D+. Justin?
Likewise, actually, a D+.
You know what's funny? D+.
Wow, is that right?
Not bad.
All right. Well, we close with The Boy, and Joe, you did not see this, right?
Leave this to you guys.
Okay, so this will be me and Justin here. This is a horror movie, and in it, an American woman, Greta, played by Lauren Cohan from The Walking Dead, takes a nanny job at an English village and discovers that her boss's 8-year-old son is really a doll that they treat as a real boy to cope with the loss of their actual son 20 years ago.
Creepy.
It's very creepy in concept. When Greta starts violating the rules on their list, she begins to suffer the consequences and things turn deadly. Now, of all the creepy doll movies, this one I thought did have some potential. There's a fairly unique premise within the doll comes to life theme, which we just most recently saw in Annabelle, was it 2 Halloweens ago, like a year and a couple months ago?
Pretty much, yeah.
I think Cohan does a decent job. I'm not familiar with her work. I don't watch Walking Dead. But I thought she did a good job here. I think the first 2/3 has some genuine creepy atmosphere. It's a little too rife with jump scares, as you'll get with this. But I do think that the intensity of the doll and what is actually happening, I thought that was good. But then the conclusion and the payoff are so silly that it just doesn't really add up with the rest of the movie. Justin, did you find that to be the case with the end?
Surprisingly enough, I'm in complete agreement with you on this one. I kind of likened the first bit to the others, where it's not more or less racing to the next scare so much as setting up a creepy atmosphere.
It's a good comparison.
One is obviously significantly much better, but but even in this case, I found myself sort of coming in with a sort of like, am I actually excited for this? But then sort of like getting interested in, but then sort of slowly getting more invested into the story. I don't think Cohan's really a great actress. I mean, outside of Walking Dead, her filmography is, for lack of a better word, abysmal.
I don't think I've ever seen her in anything.
Well, your only other go-to would be Death Race 2, which I don't think
that's not for me.
is on your to-do list anytime soon. But honestly, for the script, she's doing an adequate job. She's not doing anything particularly stand out, but it's not detracting from it.
Yeah, she's certainly not the next Jamie Lee Curtis here, but
not quite.
I thought she did all right.
But no, the cinematography is interesting. The way things sort of play out is interesting in those bits.
Well, I think she played the confusion very well.
And realistically.
Yeah.
But then, you're absolutely right. Then comes the third act where it gets really over the top, and sort of that buildup just sort of dissipates when they finally start answering some of the questions that I think would have benefited from much more ambiguity.
Mm-hmm. Well, then it becomes kind of like a standard slasher film.
I couldn't agree more.
So I leave The Boy with a C-.
I tried to give it a little bit more credit because there was a mid-point where I was actually a little bit more on board. So for that, I had to push it from a C- to a C.
Well, you know me and the endings. If an ending ruins a movie, I'm not going to give it points.
No.
I really was thinking like C+ until we got to that ending, and I was like, this kind of
That was the straw.
Well, it kind of ruins everything that came before it, yeah. But, all right, well, sadly, our first shortened show is all negatives. Well, 13 hours, I guess, was average.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. We don't have the Oscars to save us anymore. But hopefully, as we get into the next few weeks here, we'll be getting some better movies to take a look at. And, of course, you can subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. Joe, you've got your own Merlin channel that's up and running with tons of stuff, doing lots of interviews lately, I see, which is nice. And we have the Facebook group, Film Fanatics with an exclamation point, and the Twitter feed at Film Fanatics Pod. You can join up on any of those. And the theme for February, if you guys do have a listener's choice for us, it's actually a pretty narrow one, to be honest. But it is, as the Oscars are approaching and the whole Oscars so white thing has been kind of, floating around, and it is Black History Month, we decided to honor the actors and actresses who have won Oscars in the African American community. So if you have a movie that a black actor or actress won a lead or supporting Oscar for, let us know and we will review it for this month. But other than that, that will do it for the show. We'll see you back here next time. Bye!